Hi YouTube. I just finished my 5th year of Classical Conversations Foundations program, and I've just been spending a few weeks processing my thoughts as we wrapped up our school year, and I just really need to speak these things. And I'm not really trying to build a YouTube channel or anything. I'm a homeschool mom. The kids inside the house are really noisy, so I'm out here with different kinds of noise, including like a chainsaw in the background, so don't even know if you can hear me. But going to talk about our Foundations program in Classical Conversations. This spring, our state homeschool organization, well actually every year they put on a rally day at the state capitol. And so this spring, some of my friends and I went and we took our kids and we set up some tables, and the students were behind the tables, and we had little cards, you know, the little memory work cards, set up where people, legislators and other people at the Capitol could come, choose a subject like Latin and ask them, first declension, endings, and or history questions or science questions. And because we're doing classical conversations, the kids all have the answers memorized verbatim. And so it was a big hit. I thought we had a lot of good interaction between just people, adults at the Capitol, visitors, groups visiting from out of town, and then legislators alike. It was a lot of really good interaction. There was one person, though, who kept asking questions to the kids, and he realized, well, his response was, so you just memorized a bunch of little songs, huh? So I spent a few weeks kind of thinking about that and defending that point. And then after that, after I went through that process, I'm like, okay, is he right though? Does he have a point? Is that all we do is memorize a bunch of stuff? A bunch of silly little songs. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my conclusions after thinking about that for a few weeks now. The Foundations program does focus on memory work a lot. It is intended for kids like 1st grade through 6th grade, and actually kindergarten through 6th. And it takes a child during the early years of their development when they're really good at memorizing things and they like it and it's fun. So it does incorporate that. But it's not all we do. Every parent is still teaching homeschool at home. Okay, you've got your reading, writing, math going on at home. With the classical conversations, you add some memory work. And really, my my 3rd, 4th, and 5th years, I was a tutor. And so I would spend, especially when I first started, I would spend like a whole day preparing, how am I going to introduce this grammar tomorrow in class, right? Just want to get the absolute perfect hand motions and the right song and everything. Actually, most of the songs come on a CD, but you don't have to use those. The point is to teach the tool, teach children how to memorize, because I'm already going on a tangent. When I was in college, it was like 3rd quarter calculus. At the end of it, the professor said, open up the first page, chapter 9 in the Swakowski, and there's a big page of integrals. She said, memorize it. And my brain just totally shut down. I mean, I had no clue how to memorize a page of integrals. It was just devastating to me. How in the world can I do that? I had no clue. So it ended up, I calculated my grade. What will my grade be if I don't do this? And that was really the only option that I saw. So I took the hit on my grade. I did not memorize it. I got my C in the class, and I went on. But you know what? First day of Calc 4, you had to know. You had to have that page memorized, so it didn't buy me anything at all. So the whole purpose of focusing on memory work is it's a lost tool of learning, and we're trying to teach these children, no matter what it is through life. I mean, sometimes you just need to remember things. And it's a really good stage when they're young and they like it. Instead of memorizing Frozen or entire movie scripts, let's just do something meaningful like World War I, World War II, all the world wars, the presidents, anything, you name it. I mean, we've got every week just a little blurb from history, science, Latin, English grammar, math, and See, 2 more subjects I'm not even remembering. There's a timeline of the world. It's just a really good time, a really good utilization of your time and their strengths to teach them these things while they're young. Okay, that being said, you know, and I just said when I started tutoring, I would spend the whole day, not the whole day, but way too much time preparing to present the new grammar. But really, when we present that in class, it's 30 minutes. 30 minutes a week we spend on this in class. You know, CC meets for one day a week, okay, and for 30 minutes of that day, the tutor will present new grammar. And then you do like 2 more hours of class, and then you go back at the end with some games to review the new grammar, because your brain's had a little bit of time for it to soak in. You bring it back up again, fresh into their memory before they go on for the rest of the day. And also during that 30 minutes, you just model to the parents. This is one way you could review your memory work at home. And, you know, the parent is the teacher, obviously, and they can choose to do it that way or not, or any way they want to. So, I just realized after 5 years of CC and Foundations that I have this concept in my head that, yeah, it's a lot of memory work, but really, it isn't. You see, it's 30 minutes on Community Day, and that's just not a lot. But they do, at the end of the year, there's an optional Memory Master testing, and it seems like half our students in our community do it every year. And so it's like over several weeks. It's not like a test that you just take one day and you're done. You have to test here, and then wait a week and test here, and wait a week and test here, and wait a week and then audit here. So it shows, this test shows that they've memorized it long term. It's not something they crammed for and passed it at the last minute. This is material that they've retained for a whole year, and my kids can pull up material from any one of those given years. It might take them, it might take me a few minutes to pull that up, but I know, I've heard that word before, the Lusitania, you know, give me a second and I can give you a sentence on it. Just things like that. And that also is the purpose, to put in their mind, you know, names of things they've heard before, so the next time they hear it, they already know something about it, and they're more likely to catch on. My best example of that is my daughter. We did cycle whatever that included Martin Luther, and then the next year, it was over that next year, she learned to read. So it'd been a year since we'd been in that class, and she learned to read, and she was going through my bookshelf looking for something. She's looking at all the books, and she saw one on Martin Luther, and she said, "Oh, Mommy, is that the Martin Luther who, in 1517, Martin Luther began the Protestant Reformation by printing the 95 Theses that made Pope Leo X excommunicate him, and later John Calvin joined the Reformation? That Martin Luther?" I went, "Yes, baby, that's the same Martin Luther, that's it." And that's the whole point, because all those other books on my bookshelf she passed up. But Martin Luther, she knew the name in her head, and now she knows that we have a book on him in the kitchen, okay? So it may be 5 years before she hears that name again, but now she has 2 pegs in her mind. She knows exactly who he was and what he did, and she knows I have a book on in the kitchen, and then the third thing that she's going to learn when his name comes up again. So that's the point, to make a lot of these things familiar to them, so that they'll have just some basis as a starting point next time the name comes up. Okay, so CC, that's, do we focus on memory work or not? I think the answer is yes, but not, it's not like all we do. Okay, and also on Community Day, we do science experiments. There's a 30-minute block on science experiments every week. The point is to learn the scientific method. And so we drill that every week, scientific method, what is it? And then we do an experiment or two to walk us through the process. And fine arts, we do 30 minutes on fine arts. That covers music, that covers playing an instrument, the tin whistle, that covers studying great composers, famous composers, and singing together in an orchestra, because they're not yet old enough to each play their own instrument, much as I would like that to happen. Okay, so you've got your memory work, your science, and your fine arts. 30 minutes on each of those segments, and then presentation. So my 5th year of classical conversations, this is what stood out to me the most. Because my first year, this was a new community, and so we were all all the moms are in class with the tutors, right? And we're all in there together with our little firstborns who are 5 or 6 years old, right? And we're going, come on, just go up to the front of the room and say something. You can do it. And the kids are shy and they don't want to say anything. And my daughter took her green blanket for 6 weeks in a row, you know, and it's just, you can get them to do show and tell, or, you know, sometimes they wouldn't say anything, but can you just stand there and say, hi, my name is whatever. So it was really cute. And, you know, we just followed the process at the time. You got 30 minutes. It's 3 minutes per child in the class to give a presentation. And so what was different about this year was I tutored pretty much that same class of firstborns, only they're now 5th graders. Okay? And the past 2 years I tutored the younger children, so I didn't see all this going on. But, you know, so I go from seeing the cute little show and tell presentations till this year, these 5th graders, every week, blew me away with the most creative, awesome presentations I've ever seen. And the thing that struck me about it is there was absolutely zero fear or even thought or self-consciousness about getting up in front of people. 100% of their energy was total excitement over, I have prepared this thing and I am excited to share it with you. And I can't even, I mean, I just started writing down their topics every week to just keep a list of it because it was just so phenomenal how they came up with these things. And so I would say I have to change my opinion now that Foundations is not all about memory work, and presentations isn't just something that's thrown in. I mean, these kids are 10 and 11 and they've overcome their fear of public speaking. You know, I haven't overcome my fear of public speaking. And I think to be able to do that by the time they're 10 or 11, that really takes, I don't know if you could accomplish that if you didn't start when they're young like that. I mean, by the time you're 10 or 11 and you're not in that environment, you might, I don't know, can you recover? Can you ever be totally unafraid to get up and speak in front of people? As these students demonstrated to me this year, it was just amazing. So, Foundations. It is memory work. It is a lot of memory work. It's not all we do. The parent is still doing reading, writing, math at home. And we add in the science and the arts and the presentations for the public speaking skills. Just phenomenal. That's just my take on it. Don't know anything else I can tell you about Classical Conversations Foundations program, but if you're interested, you can go to classicalconversations.com. You can look, type in your zip code and it'll tell you some communities in your area, and you can email some people, some local directors, and get information if you want.